Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm Preeti and I'm excited to be your host for this session on generative AI and LLMs. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be a truly engaging and insightful session on how large language models are shaping the future. I am delighted to introduce our speaker, Mr. Shantanu Prakash. Shantanu leads data and AI at Cash Karo Groups, which include Cash Karo and Unkaro. In this role, he heads data engineering, analytics, and machine learning using AI to solve real business problems in the world of online shopping, affiliate marketing, and fintech. He focuses on turning data into smart solutions, helping businesses work faster, understand customers better, and make smart decisions. Shantanu brings over 12 years of experience, having worked with leading companies such as Amazon, Shoppers Stop, Future Group, and several high growth startups. He combines deep technical skill with strong business understanding, making his approach both practical and inspiring. Beyond his corporate work, Shantanu is the creator of The Insight Loop, a fast growing analytics newsletter where he shares trends, tips, and insights about data and AI. He is also recognized as a LinkedIn top voice in AI strategy and team building and serve as a perspective AI business fellow where he experiments with large language model to create real world business impact through automation and intelligent system. So let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Shantanu Prakash. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priti. It's good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure connecting with you all here, though online. So you have got the background what I work. So AI as a field, while I mean GPT LLMs as a field are there, which have been recently pioneered. I mean, recently came into the normal background, but it's like AI typically it's almost 20 to 25 years old. So there are lots of development that has been happening. It's majorly why it has been popular right now is because it has come into the B2C world first rather than going to the B2B world phases. Right? The focus of this session is like generative LLMs and the fine tuning. So there are two terms which we are going to understand very briefly. What are LLMs? What do we mean by fine tuning, and how it can obviously get applied in our business application? If suppose you don't have a business, you are a student, it will really help you in identifying your use case, like how you can personally use or possibly use this in your resume to get the next set of job if you're applying for. So I'll try to make it very simple. While fine tuning in itself is a extremely what I will say hardcore coding required thing, and it requires lots of GPUs, requires lots of time. I'll take in the second half of the session. The first half I'll try to focus on majorly on theory so that you know what you are trying to do. You understand the core concepts before even just going random coding and not able to understand what's happening and why it is I'm doing it. So just give me a second. I'll share my screen so that you're able to see the PPT, and then we can start. Yeah. Hope my screen is visible. Yeah.
It is visible, sir.
Perfect. And just so if you have any questions in between, I will encourage everyone to keep it on chat so that Preeti is there. If she has questions, she can just chime in and ask me, and I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. But obviously, we have only 2 hours where I have to complete the theory and obviously the practical aspect of this. So I'll try to keep the formal Q&A in the last 20-25 minutes, and the rest would be I'll try to answer all the questions in between also, but we'll try to focus more on what we are going to do and Q&A at the last. But yes, please feel free to ask as many questions as you can, so that will also help me in understanding whether you guys are able to understand what I am trying to teach or what I'm trying to tell you guys. So it helps in explaining the concepts in a better way, right? So starting, the first and the foremost is what is LLM, right? That is one such thing. You might know the definition, you might have heard. And last 2 years post GPT launch, OpenAI launched the GPT-3, right? I mean, everyone, I'm sure every person that is part of this call or people they know are using GPT, are using LLMs in one part or another of their life, whether it is a corporate, whether it's their public, whether it is their student life, anything. I mean, if wherever you are, whatever kind of work you do, you must be using it, right? So LLMs are nothing new. They are just a special case of deep learning models trained on a huge amount of text data. The stress is on huge, right? They get trained on billions and billions of parameters. It's a deep learning model. I'm sure people who have certain understanding of data science, they understand deep learning is quite old technically. It is part of DS ecosystem for almost from the start. Now LLMs has become popular because they can understand, just they can understand text, they can think, they can generate text out of something, right? Just understand them as a what do you call it, a super smart autocomplete engine. So like how you type on Google something, Google search or phone keyboard, it suggests the next word, right? That is the simplest form of LLM. And now at a much larger scale, now you have GPTs of the world, right? The GPTs contains everything. LLM is a sub part of the any GPT, right? I'll try to give many examples. I'll try to correlate so that you are able to understand what I am trying to tell. While some of the topics would be technical, but I have tried to simplify so that a person who doesn't come from a technical background also understand where the use cases are, or like what I'm trying to explain. So let me give an example, right? What are actually what exactly they do, right? So they are designed to understand, generate, and interact in like a human-like language, like English. If you want to talk in Hindi, there are many browser who talk. You can also chat in Hindi. Suppose like Perplexity is there, ChatGPT is there. There's Llama. There are too many things. So let's suppose I come from I work with Kashkaro. So let's suppose if I type a word, Kashkaro is India's leading, right? I have typed till here now. So what will happen? An LLM, which is trained on Kashkaro, enough text about Kashkaro, they will likely predict the next word, which would be Cashkaro is India's leading cashback and coupon site, right? So the last part of generation that is happening via LLM because it has been trained in a particular context. It has been trained with large vast of data, a large amount of data, and that's how the machine is able to predict what my next sentences is going to be, and that's how they're able to generate insight. They're able to generate knowledge which we are currently dependent on. We ask anything, right? So the magic is not something like they memorize thing. No, that is not the magic. The magic is because they have this ability to generate across billions of example which has been fed into the training. That is their core, right? Now the next part is like you can see in the photo how what I mean how do they work, right? So I'll try to again simplify it. So there are 5 stages, as you can see here, right? The 5 stages are they tokenize, embedding, attention mechanism, very important, which has led to the rise of all the GPTs of the world. Why we are able to use all the OpenAI's, the Google Gemini, and all those kinds of things. Contextual understanding, and the fifth one is prediction in a text generation, which is the output. Now I'll try to explain what does each point does, because there are 5 stages. What all each point does in a plain simple language, right? So imagine I have written a word which says cash karo gives cash back. This is the word I have typed in. So what tokenization will do? Now, tokenization, as the word suggests, will break each word into smaller chunks, right? So what it can somehow it can break into cash. So sentence would be broken cash, KRO gives cash back. So that's how the tokenization of the sentence happens, right? Now it depends on what kind of tokenizer that particular system is using. So it gets divided. Now, the second part of the problem is, the second part of the step is embedding. Embedding is very simple. I don't go by the technical definition. I mean, in simple word, embedding is converting something to numbers. That's it, right? The first, it divided into multiple tokens. Now it is trying to divide into numbers. So like cache, the word first cache was a token. Cache is then again further divided into a vector, which is the list of numbers. Is let's say 0.12 comma 0.98 minus 0.15 xy. This is a certain embedding that happens. Now all the embedding gets stored, right? Now the third, the brain part of that particular logic comes in, of any LLM comes in, which is the attention. This is the magic. This is where real magic happens. The model asks which other words matter more when we are trying to predict next word. So there is a token, the meeting has happened. Now model is trying to think, okay, what would be the next word which will matter along with this sentence? So while processing cache, attention mechanism links directly to very strongly to backward. So there is a mapping that happens. So it says that, okay, cache, when someone says cache in this context, there is a strong correlation probability which will relate it to a word known as back, right? Similarly, while processing cache crow word, attention links give it to the word gives, right? This is how any transformer understand the context, and that's how they're able to understand the context much better than any previous models. That is the magic that which happens behind the line. And many of us might know that in 2017 Google released, along, I think I forgot the college name, but Google along with that college professor released a paper which changed the way, I mean, that was the benchmark baseline on which every GPT is being made now, every LLM is being made now, which is attention is all you need. If suppose you are a tech person, you should read that paper. That would really help you understanding why and what did they change, how did they migrate from the initial RNN to now the GPT, the attention mechanism, right? Now three steps are done. So we are done with tokenization, we are done with embedding, we are done with attention. Now the fourth is contextual understanding, which is obviously the extension of the third step, right? The model learns that cash cow is a subject and gives cashback is the action, right? So the meaning is built across tokens, not just one by one. So that's what contextual understanding is, and that's how all the GPTs are trying to understand. The last stage is prediction and generation. So there it has got the full context. It has, so if we suppose now as a typing, if I type and says, okay, Kashkaro gives, I stop there. So model predicts the most likely next token for this would be cash, and after cash, it will predict the next word would be back. So to complete the sentence, what it will say, because I've stopped at Kashkaro gives, it will say Kashkaro gives cashback. That's how any model, any LLM generates the word, which now I mean, while it's very easy for us, we dump our emails, we dump any words, and they say ask GPTs like OpenAI to predict what, how should we do, how should I plan my day, how should I plan my investment, anything we can ask, right? That's, but at the back of the back end, this logic works across. It predicts the next word, it predicts the next word, it predicts the next word. That's how everything works, right? uh, very simple. I mean, the concept of LLM is based on how a human mind perceives, right? So let's say if you're reading something, any I think if you read through the example, you'll be able to read what I was trying to tell beforehand. So let's suppose you are seeing any letter, right? You're reading something, you're seeing any letter. Now, after that letter is the token. So you don't read the word, you see the letter in each word. Those letter becomes the tokens in terms of machine context, right? Then suppose then you hear sounds, right? Those are called like how you convert, like how to pronounce this word, right? How to pronounce that word, because the context in the pronunciation changes. That's what is all about embedding. So it converts letter, it combines letter, then convert into a particular tone, so that audio, that's how you can listen to it, like each word. Then your brain highlights which is the most important words. Like suppose in any word, like their preposition, like cash karo gives cashback me, which is the most important, which is the subject, because that's how we have learned grammar earlier. So that's how the brain is wired to give attention to certain words more rather than some other words. That's how it processes faster. If you start giving proper attention to each and every word, then your brain processing will become very slow. It's very subconscious level. It works like this only. Once you understand the sentence, and you can always guess what comes next. That's how brain processes, and that's how, which is now machines are following, so that they are able to generate content just by looking at, let's say, even at the first two words, they are able to generate whole paragraphs out of that, and much more relevant, right, than earlier it used to be. uh, Now, the size and scales I was talking about, I mean, they have been trained on billions and billions of parameter. Like 1.5 has been trained on 1.3 billion parameter till GPT-4. I mean, now they have gone to trillions of parameters. Billion is like it's older. Just 1, 2 years back, we were talking about, oh my God, 60 billion. Oh my God, what is that? 170 billion, like GPT-3 when it launched, 175 billion parameter. Now we are talking about trillions of parameters. Right? So that's how huge training data set has been provided to them. And there are many examples of LLMs that exist in market, like Claude Anthropic is there, Claude 2 is there, GPT-4, GPT-5 is recently launched, right? Llama is Meta's AI, then 5.2 is Microsoft's, right? OpenAI, everyone we know. So, and you keep on hearing terms like parameters. Like, don't get confused. Parameters are simply like, if I want to give an analogy, it's simply like neurons, right? The more you have, the better nuance, more nuanced your understanding would be of any topic, right? So it's simply because it keeps on training. Basic neurons work like, how do we predict, like the more harder you work, the better your understanding would be, because neurons gets trained in a particular way to understand a situation. That's why sports person can react faster. Like, that's why Virat Kohli can play a better shot to a 150-kilometer delivery, because their neurons has been trained to react in a particular situation. So that's how the models are also been, they're also been trained. That's what parameter means, that nothing else, right? uh I hope it was clear. Well, since I'll move to the next slide. Preeti, do you have any questions? I'll pause for this because it's a very critical topic to even start before I move forward. Any questions we have, I'm open to answer that.
Yeah, actually, we have one. Sandeep is asking, can you share a software so that I can practice?
Software of what? Sorry, I didn't
Uh,
get that.
I also don't know. Sandeep, can you please elaborate your question?
If you have any question, please ask.
Uh,
I'll take a hold for 2 minutes and then I'll possibly explain that.
Gaurav is asking, can you explain the third step?
The attention mechanism. Yeah, third step is the attention mechanism. So, see, attention. Imagine, I mean, uh, just forget about machine learning, right? Forget about that deep learning, anything. So imagine yourself walking among people, right? It's not like right now also. Suppose if you're in a market, you don't notice everyone, right? You only notice certain patterns. You only notice certain people or certain products. Why? Because your brain is wired to notice things, not everything. Because if you start noticing everything, then your brain will not be able to process anything. It might process, but it will take too much time. Even before saying hello, imagine if you have to process every person around the room. So what attention mechanism says, how to focus on the right word, on the right person or the point which is important for your context. So attention just does the same. So what it says, if I get a whole, like say, if I say Cash Karo is the only website which gives cashback, right? It will focus on two things. Most people, attention mechanism, Cash Karo, cashback, and only. These are three words it will focus on. Is the all those kinds of words, it will not focus on those words. Okay, if I need to bring anything, if I need to predict next word after that. So that's how, to make the response faster, the attention mechanism came into paper. And for more study, you should read that paper. It will really help you. But attention, simple word, is focusing on the right word, which is the right word for which the next word prediction needs to happen, right? They don't want prediction after the, like Cashkoro is the only cashback. They want, okay, cashback, someone is when Cashkoro is only, is not required, Cashkoro only. What should be the next word? What is the highest related word, probabilistic word, which a GPT can, LLM can give you after Cashkaro. So that's how they focus. That's what attention is all about, focusing on the right word.
Okay, sir, thank you. Another question, John is asking, can you explain tokenization once again?
Okay, so tokenization in simple word is breaking into chunks, right? I have written a word, cash karo gives cash back. Now it's three word, right? What happens? There is a possibility cash back is two words, cash and then back. So same cash karo might be they might divide into cash KAR then RO. So tokenization dividing everything into simpler chunks so that that person can understand. I mean the model can understand it better because it has to convert everything into a number. Like cash. So just to very simple, cashback can be implied into three sense. One is cash, one is back, one is cashback because the three words can be sum out of just one single word. So that's why tokenization help. Okay, this is the most important word. So take cash, and then it converts into numbers so that because machine talks in numbers, they understand numbers, right? So that's how token helps. Okay, which is the most closest token or the strongest token which machine has identified at the first stage. So that's what tokenization is. Now it's a very detailed science. I mean, it happens. Lots of training happens over there also to identify how to define a token, what all tokens are applicable. How there might be one paragraph and each it has to generate n number of tokens. But it's simple words. It's defining into breaking into chunks like how we define how we like when we were kids, right? We don't start reading the words, we started learning letters, right? We learned a b c d and then we started combining csh is cash. That's why that's what token does, so it divides into for the smaller chunks.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
enough.
sir.
Yeah.
Another question, Haran is asking, I want to know how SLLM are performing well compared to huge models like Gamma 3270M, Mistral 7B is outperforms LLAMA models. How
Uh,
they?
how they're performing. I mean, there's a proper study, which I mean, what the question you have asked is is something which I can't answer right now because what is happening, each model performance, there are lots of expert, and in fact, every model when they release, there are certain parameters on which they release how the model is performing. There are certain reasoning models, there are certain usefulness of the model. They give multiple tests also. How much model is hallucinating, that is also one of the factors. So there are many factors on which the model performance depends. I mean, and the use case also. uh, so really for that to answer I would need more time and more study because personally I don't recall. I mean, there are many studies that got published on each model performance, what is their score. Right, people also give exams, how good, how much they're scoring in a particular exams depending on that. Like GPT-5, they're saying that is one of the best model that has launched in this, but again, completely dependent on the use case and what is the problem they are trying to solve, on which kind of data they have been trained. Okay, I think Deepti, we can move to the next slide. For any
Yes,
question, we'll after the next slide, I'll give another chance to write more questions,
yes,
right?
yes. Actually, they have posted so many questions now.
No, no. Let's move to the next slide. Also, just to let you know, this slide is also I've made via AI. I don't make slides manually now. So that's how AI has been using it. Now, what is the core building block of LLM? LLM is not, I mean, it's everything comes from a foundation model. Like the word you keep on hearing is GPT, right? These are pre-trained models, and LLMs is just part of that. LLM GPTs are trained on everything, like structured, unstructured data, whether it is image, like you have voice, image. You have too many words which can do everything, right? But GPTs may suppose what do you call it? I'm forgetting the name. I mean, Gemini can do multiple things. It can generate images also. It can generate tech voice also. VO3 is there, like which can generate videos, right? So foundation models are the base for that, and LLM, the LLM part is for text. Video for there is a different model, for audio there is a different model. So there, and for different kind of unstructured data there is a different kind of models that works. So foundation model is simply that. Sorry. Uh, so just to in plain simple language, think of foundation model as a base brain, right? That we use before specialization, right? So GPT, Llama, Mistral, these all are the three names that you said, all are foundation models. Now they are trained on a very large and general database. Like suppose they read through books, Wikipedia's, code, scientific papers, even filtered internet data, and some even claim everything, even vault data they are able to read. I mean that's why there has been so many cases in US against OpenAI, which they are solving. But yeah, there's no patent now. I mean ideally they should not read the patent data, but it has been observed that many instances there are many escalations that they're even reading the patented data. So that's there. So yeah, so the purpose of any foundation model is not to make them expert, right? It's never not it is the purpose of any foundation model is to capture broad knowledge and patterns in language. That is the overall case. Once the model is foundation model is trained, they can be used or adapted into multiple different domains. Now you can use it for translation, you can for customer support, you can use it for medical diagnosis, anything you want. Just to give an example, if some car enthusiast is there, so understand foundation model as a general purpose car chassis. You can build a sports car, you can build a toy car, you can build a SUV on top of the same base. That's what foundation models are, right? The next important is that what are transformers? Sorry, I think there is some mistake. The word encoder is not, it's encoder, and the attention mechanism then goes to the decoder. So what happens? Transformer is the engine which powers the foundation model. It was introduced by Google in 2017 with the paper which is attention is all you need. Please go through that paper if you want to go into the technicalities of foundation models, right? And the transformers architecture. The key innovation is the self attention mechanism, right? As I was telling you earlier also, before there was models like RNN, which reads text word by word. So which means they have to read every word, and imagine in a long sentence they keep on. So it becomes very difficult for them to remember because they have to store it in their memory. So what happens now with attention mechanism? They now started giving weights to each tokens, right? So let's say there are two words. mm, let's say Shantanu is. Now they'll give weights to Shantanu and they'll give weight to S word also. And basis that is with, if suppose the higher weight is given to Shantanu, they'll say, okay, this is the primary, the attention needs to be here on the word Shantanu, not on the word is, right? So that's how they're able to work faster, and that's how we are able to use it in our daily lives. Right? So there are two main parts. One is encoder and one is decoder. The encoder, what it encoder does, it's very simple. It reads and understands what input is given. Decoder is what generates the output, right? The modern LLMs that we have, like GPTs, use only decode only architecture, which means because they are focused only on generation. So that's why they use decode only architecture. So let's say if suppose you go to any chat, like you go to chat GPT and you ask summarize last quarter's sales performance, right? Now the transformers attention mechanism, what it will do, it will decide which is the most important word, how where I need to give the higher weight. So it will give the higher weight to, let's say, sales, quarter, and performance, and then it will generate the answer, right? So that's how things are moving faster. That's how you are able to generate long paragraphs so easily. They're able to generate, I mean, they're very, I'm sure millions and millions of users are typing every day at the same, millions of users are typing at the same time, but still that the server, the backend is able to hold and give you output. So that's what has been changed. So just again, before closing this topic, I just want to uh, emphasize on what attention is doing in very simple word. Imagine you are attending a meeting, right? You are writing notes for the meeting. You don't write each and every word of that meeting. What you do, you pay attention to the most important parts. This looks like the important one, so I'll write it down. This I'll write it down. You don't write everything what we speak in a meeting, right? So that's what attention mechanism is doing. Very simple. It's focusing on the important part of whatever you are giving the input and generating out to basis that. So that's what, imagine you sitting in a meeting room, only writing down the important points and then possibly giving the MOMs out of that meeting. So that's what model is also doing, right? This covers the overall basic understanding of foundation models, basic understandings of LLMs, right? Uh, I'll go to the core topic, the optimization technique, where I'll at the end will go to the fine tuning piece, what exactly fine tuning is. But there are only three ways how you can optimize any LLM, like a GPT, like you might be doing right now also. Very simple, while I'll explain prompt later also, but very simply what we're doing day in and out. If suppose you work with chat gpt, or let's say if you work with gemini, what we do, we write prompts, right? That is what prompt engineering is basically. It's a carefully designing input prompts, that's it, to guide the model. Okay, what is the output I am looking for, so that model doesn't need to change. There is a basic model which is already there, where you're typing the answers, I mean you're typing your inputs, but you're typing input so clearly that the model is able to understand, okay, basis his or her input, this is what the output might look like. That's what prompt engineering is. This is the most easy, and I'm assuming everyone here is doing that. If they're using chat gpt or a gemini or a perplexity, whatever they're doing, they must be doing. So this is what a general public purpose is. It's very easy to do, and obviously it has its own cons, which I'll explain later. Uh, then the most important in the technical terms is RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. Basically, uh, you feed your LLMs with the most relevant information from an external knowledge base. So let's say we know that GPT has been trained by billions of parameters, which is outside. Now you train the same model, you train with you give them an additional external data set. So suppose if my company needs an LLM to be trained for very specific data set, I'll train that model. So that's what RAG is. RAG is very dynamic. Again, I'll explain pros and cons separately. Fine tuning is something, again, fine tuning is also work. Theoretically, you can say that it's similar, doing the same thing. It gives you domain specific data set, but it is much lesser in terms of work that is needed. In terms of RAG is much more dynamic. Then comes the fine tuning piece, like for customer support you can fine tune it. For many sales related data, you might have to go to RAG, again depending on. So enterprise possibly go on RAG. Fine tune for small use cases, you fine tune. And prompt engineering for your daily use, for something which is not extremely critical, like even information, if it is not 100% accurate, it works, then you go for the prompt engineering, right? Now I'll again, Preeti, if there are questions, I can take question on the LLM Foundation, because now I'll take some time to explain what RAG is, what everything is all about.
Yeah, actually, there are so many questions.
Oh.
Let's take few. Okay, Mr. Praveen is asking. So for every LLM, there is same architecture of attention mechanism.
Yes, step three. That's, I mean, it's because of attention mechanism you are able to use the GPTs of the world. It's because of that. I mean, that's how big a breakthrough is was that paper. Yeah.
Okay, another question. Sandeep is asking. Another question. Okay, small Hariharan, he asked question earlier also. So one more question. He is saying that small large language model is better than huge LLM models.
Is the question, or is he giving his input?
He's
Okay.
asking.
So it depends. I mean, small LLMs, again, imagine, okay, a computer, like the more context you provide to a data, like last, if suppose you are trained on only on scenarios, very simple example, suppose you work here, you know, you are an Indian resident. I'm trying to just give an example which you can relate with, right? You have lived in India, right? You might know people who are working outside India and know about you watch televisions, you watch shows, and you know how US is, right? But your knowledge is limited, right? Now, suppose you are a person, you know about India overall, plus you also live in US. I mean, 6 months you live in India, 6 months you live US. Now you know about US much better, right? Obviously, knowledge you have to take. I mean, humanly it's not possible, but suppose you are doing like that, so you know US very well, you, because you live there, you understand, you participate in the voting, you participate, do XYZ things, right? Now if someone asks you a question related to US, right, anything, you possibly, you will have better context, better answers to give. That's what small different. That is what the difference between a small LLM and a large LLM is. It's about the parameter, number of information that has been fed into to make the pattern, to make the model learn that pattern. So higher, I mean, obviously it's not like that you'll get more accuracy, but the general perception is it happens, and but it requires huge cost and time. So lots of iteration also needs to happen. But in general perception, if you have more knowledge, person will be able to get better answers.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. So another question, Sandeep is asking, can I use Python for LLMs?
yeah, yeah. In fact, once you go coding, I have used Python only.
Okay, okay, okay.
Right? So Python is a versatile tool. I mean, versatile coding language you can use everywhere. Okay, I think Preeti, we can move to the next, and then I'll have more questions.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So coming to the toughest of optimization technique, which is RAG. I'll not deep dive here because then people will get confused. Uh, so RAG, as the word suggests, there are three. Is basically what RAG does is it simply connects the LLM to an external knowledge base, which means it is you are a person, you are giving an exam. In the exam, I came and say, okay, this is the book where all the answers lies. Find in the book, right? Which was not in your database earlier. I have given a question, I have given this book. You need to find answer in this book. That's what external knowledge based RAG does, right? So let's assume, just to give an example, like ChatGPT is there. Okay, if I go on ChatGPT right now and if I ask, how did Cash Karo perform last year during the Diwali campaign? It will not, I mean, it will not know because initially, because if I've not made it public, or let's say if it was a vanilla GPT, which was stopped training after 21, it will not have that data to understand, right? Because that's the internal information for me. That's how you need those information to be given. So what it does, RAG, the model first relieves the latest offer data from database or website and then generates an answer in natural language. So which means it gets information. It's the most dynamic in nature. It takes the latest context and gives you the output. So it is not just the overall learning that it has done, right? So like suppose you are working in customer support, right? Uh, so instead of retaining, I mean, every time some policy might change, how would LLM know? So it can always point towards the latest knowledge base and it can learn. Just simple analogy. Imagine RAG is like a lawyer, though it has studied laws for years, but it has to constantly look at the rule books for latest rulings, right? It has to keep on upping its knowledge, what rules change, what is changing, right? So that's what RAG does. So if we'll go in detail what RAG means. So there are four steps in the RAG. One is query. Again, it turns into embedding, turns whatever input you're putting, it turns into numbers. Then it stores all those information in a vector DB. If you have gone through any course, if you try to understand LMs, you might have heard this term vector DB very. It's a simple, I mean, it compares knowledge base. Basically, vector DB is the knowledge base. Whatever external knowledge I'm providing, it's stored in the form of vector DB. That's it. And it compares the input to that vector DB to generate an output. So while retrieving, it finds the relevant docs. Okay, this is where I'm able to find, and then it generates using that. So let's say a very example how that can help. So suppose I'm customer, I can go and I have a cash karo. Let's assume GPT. I'll say what are the latest offer on Amazon via cash karo. Now a normal GPT will not have that answer because it has not been trained on a cash karo data. However, if with RAG, what the model can retrieve is something. It will go to the latest Amazon page on cash karo. It can scrape the offer, what is the offer currently listed, and they say this week you get 5% cashback on electronics and 10% on fashion purchases. That's how the rack gets trained, right? Best part is it's always up to date, right? I mean, the more information on external database, if it can, suppose you have some customer calls, right, and say, okay, how much is my cashback? It has, I mean, the GPT needs to know, right? Some external database has to be there to understand how, what is the total transaction value of this customer till date. That's what RAG is providing. Best part is keeps the company data private because it's in your own database. It doesn't, sorry. it doesn't train the public repository. However, the cons, latency, because now each there is an extra step to search everything, because its own learning, but it has to always go to my knowledge database and then get the relevant code. So latency increases. And obviously the infrastructure is also required for it. Like suppose for vector DB, you have to have Pinecone or Fires or Vivite. There are multiple things which you require. So in fact, it's not meant for individual scopes. It's meant for enterprise. Enterprises uses racks. Before moving to that, I'll not ask questions. I'll not take questions. I'll complete all the three, and then possibly I'll take more questions. Then fine tuning. Again, fine tuning, similar format, but it uses two major technique, LoRa and QLoRa. So what fine tuning does? Fine tuning is in the mid of prompt engineering and on rack, and fine tuning is extremely good. It's not like it's bad. I mean, it's extremely good. Many of the enterprise also uses fine tuning for certain use cases, right? It's there, and in fact, it's much easier to fine tune a model rather than building an RAG, because it requires much more infra than fine tune, and your use case might not be that big, right? So fine tuning, what it does is it takes a general LLM. I mean, any GPTs it will take, and it will adapt to a specific domain or use case by training it into a smaller curated data set. So just to uh, just to give an example, suppose a bank wants a chatbot for credit card FAQs, right? So if you want, like suppose, I think many companies are using this fine tuning concept. So you go to chatbot, I want to understand how this SBI cashback credit card works. So what will happen? So what will SBI do? It will not possibly retain the whole GPT. What they will take any open source model, they'll fine tune it. What will they'll provide them, let's say 10,000 1 lakh of customer chats that has happened previously. Basically it will provide a training data set. Okay, customer has asked this question on my query, this is the response given by my customer support agent, right? So which means by giving, let's say, 1 lakh kind of scenarios, it has covered almost every scenario. So what will happen now, the chatbot has been specially trained into that particular curated data set. So what happens? The chat, when someone asks, now some person comes and asks for any FAQs, the chatbot will always reply in what is the bank tone with exact policy, rather than going to internet and giving a generic knowledge can, right? So it will be very specific, trained on the data set in the same tone that like how a customer service agent response would have responded to that particular person query. So that's a fine tuning, and in max of the chatbot use cases, fine tuning helps. 99% it's fine tuning. And now we'll ask what is LoRa and LoRa mentioned. Again, it's a very technical topic, but I'll just give you some info on there. LoRa full form is low rank adaptation. So basically, what it does, it adds a small adapter layers instead of updating all the paths. So it doesn't update. Also, like any GPT is trained on billion of parameters. So it doesn't really train everything. What it says, I'll take 1%, 2% of that particular layer and train it basis whatever fine tune you are doing. Uh, QLoRa is just one step ahead of LoRa. It does the same thing of LoRa, just is that it compresses the model into quantize. So quantize like 4-bit. So a 16-bit gets converted to 44 bits, which means, see, because you might have heard, you might have read, right? It requires huge amount of GPU. It's a huge cost to train any model, right? So to have a lower GPU, we can use. People have started using QLoRa because it reduces the sizes of all the models of the adapter layers. So it really helps, right? So again, it's a form of business. I mean, what fine tuning does, if someone asks, always reply in this. Imagine a medical student, right? He or she learns general medicine, but to become a cardiologist or domains, but they have to go to further. They do a further training, right? They do a specific exam. They do some specific study, right? That's what fine tuning is. You know the general aspect. You know about. You have read MBBS. You have done MBBS for general. But to become a cardiologist or let's say a surgeon, you need to be an expertise in a certain field. So that's what expertise is provided by fine tuning because that has to be very specific to a particular company. Now, what are the pros of fine tuning? very accurate, highly brand aligned answers. I mean, uh, possibly if someone tells you now in some year, you'll not be even be able to differentiate whether it's a chat, a bot replying or a person replying, right? In fact, I have heard some calls where I took almost 30 seconds to realize, okay, it's a chat bot. I mean, it's a bot calling me. Right, so we have already reached to that stage. Imagine 2 years down the line, what will happen? I mean, it will be very tough for us to differentiate whether it will take for some time for us to identify whether it's a bot replying or a real human calling, right? It's extremely great for repetitive and domain specific tasks. But cons, obviously, it requires high quality data set because the data set is what trains how the model gets trained, right? There is an infra cost to that because LoRA and CLORA happens. And also, some cases we have find a word which is called as catastrophic forgetting, right? A model loses some of its general knowledge because whatever it has been trained earlier, it loses some of the general knowledge if not done, if the training is not been provided carefully. That also has happened. I mean, there are multiple ways how you can do it, but that's how fine tuning. Fine tuning is basically giving example, query, what is the result expected? Query, what is the result expected? So you keep on doing that till you realize, okay, model is now answering perfectly of what all things I have, what is the expected out of them. That's what it does. Uh, yeah. Mm, okay. And the last is prompt engineering. Again, I have already told what I mean, you guys are well aware what prompt engineering is all about. I mean, we do it day in and day out. We create a custom GPT basis use case. There might be legal use case, there might be non-legal use cases. So we keep on doing that. So that's what prompt engineering. It's for generic use cases. If you want for studying, like suppose I have GPT for code, I have a GPT for business piece, I have a GPT for investors, right? I have trained those GPTs to think like that. If I want an investor cap, I would think like that. If I want to be, let's say, a team leader cap, I would go to that GPT because that my answer would be modified accordingly. If I want a GPT which is like super genius in coding, I'll go to the different GPT. I'll not ask my let's say a business GPT to answer my coding problem because while it can answer correctly, but that particular the other prompt engineer via prompt engineer have been defined that GPT to work really well for coding piece only. So that's what it is all about. Now I'll take a pause, right? And then possibly we'll ask if you have any questions. Please feel free to ask. I'll take 10 minutes also. I'll try to answer all the questions that you have.
So actually we have lots of questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So Shubham is asking how LLM models unlearn old details. Example, earlier minimum balance for ICICI is 1,000 rupees. Now it's changed to 50,000.
So that's a very, very relevant question, right? When LLM, when the first GPT got introduced, like OpenAI, when we started 23, it was right, it was cut down. So it was cut down from the internet. So I think the the vanilla GPT trained only till 21 data. So it didn't have the latest happening. So initially, if you must have used, I don't know whether you guys have used, but when I used, it used to give us non-recent information. But how the GPT, that's how training, like it's LLM, how when they fed the data, they also give weightage to recency of the news. What is the recency? And that's what training takes, and that's what billions of dollars are spent there just to train it rightly. And that's how all other models perform differently. So recency is also one such weightage which gives there. I'm in talking terms of LLMs because it is trained on the general purpose data. So understand, don't, because see, because you are thinking like a human, you are saying, okay, it is related to ICCI, which context to give. But what happens? Recency gives weights, additional weight to some of the info which is already there. Let's say which is info in 2025 and some from a news which is in 2023. So it will give higher, possibly it will give a higher. There might be multiple techniques, but it will give a higher weight to the recent news so that it will give you when you ask certain question, it will give that answer. Okay, that 50,000 is the base. That's how it happens. It's not like that they don't forget. If you write what was the ICCI minimum balance in 2023 or 2024, it will still find the ways to give you the answer, which was at that time. It will not give you 50K.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Another question Farhan is asking, need clarity on a scenario in the example of customer chatbot for banking credit card. We can provide bank SOPs along with customer data RAG or provide 1 lakh previous chat bracket fine tune.
See, racks again, racks. If you want to see racks, is there like, but imagine two things. Whether your use case requires like you should not over engineer thing, right? I'm just giving an example. If suppose you want to, you have both the cars. You have a, let's say you have a Ford EcoSport at your home. Let's say you have a McLaren also. If you want to go to, let's say, to purchase any let's say grocery, right? If you have to drive a car, you can go by both the cars. But McLaren would be costly, right? Ford EcoSport would be much cheaper, and it will do the job as brilliantly as McLaren can do for purchasing grocery from your house to. So that's what I understand like that. For chatbots, fine tuning works perfectly. You don't require it. Racks are required when the things are very dynamic, right? When you require every day, like suppose you have to give transaction numbers also, everything. Possibly their racks are required. Like if customer says, "What is my minimum? What is my balance, account balance right now?" Tell me what are my last enter. Now the system has to be updated, right? Then fine tuning is not going to help. The custom, I mean, that particular model has to be attached to your database, some kind of data which can feed that data and then push that data to back to that. So those kinds of things where you need that for customer chatbot, let's say credit card FAQs, you can provide SOPs also, it's going to help. But what, and you can also provide policies. But what happens if you just provide SOPs and policy, you are not covering the aspect of what questions customers are asking, right? And there might be certain questions which are outside the current purview of your policies. There might be certain negative keywords also. Customer can ask anything. Your SOPs and policy might not cover that. But if you take out 1 lakh previous chats where people have provided right answers, that will help model train better because SOPs policy would be limited. It would be 2 pager, 3 pager, 5 pager, 10 pager, not more than that, right? So the model would be limited by the number of information. I mean, the amount of information you have provided. So it's better to provide chats so that they know what kind of response can on what kind of input I have to generate what kind of response.
Okay, thank you. Can we take another question, sir?
Yeah, one more question. We can take for next 5 minutes. We can take the questions and then I'll move.
Okay, okay. Anurag is asking, sometimes ChatGPT give incorrect answer even for easy math query in first time and give correct answer in second attempt. Why such error occurs?
Same, because GP doesn't understand maths. We have to, I mean, we have to be very clear. Models doesn't understand maths. It's all about how I told it, tokens, attention. It's a probabilistic model which says, okay, as per me, this is the best case answer. This is the higher weightage. I'll relate to this. So it's like neurons connecting the lines connecting to which is the highest weightage. It will give that input here. So and also there's a case of hallucination. I have not read, but 2 days back, I think open 2 or 3 days back, OpenAI has published something like they have solved this hallucination problem also. I mean, they've identified why hallucination happens. Well, as of now, I don't think hallucination was solved, though it was restricted by more and more training. But we have to understand they are not human. They don't understand the context properly, right? There is a model which a backend engine which keeps on, okay, if this happens, go like this. If this happens, go like this at the end of the day. They just give more context to something. And that's why once you, let's suppose in the first iteration, it gives you wrong input. If you ask them, right, okay, okay, this is the wrong input. Why? If you give an example, no, this is incorrect. They'll say, then they will change the weightage of at every answer. Okay, now, okay, which means I have gotten the wrong probability. Because for the same input, there can be thousands of different answers, next words. So they have given you the first word. You said this is incorrect. Then they'll go to the second word based on their logic. And then you'll find, okay, this is the correct one. That's how they work. And there's a lots in detail of theory that is available, how they perform. I mean, but what we have to understand is why model hallucinate, why they do, because they get confused, because it's a probabilistic model that works in the backend and says, okay, this for this word, this is the next topic. They can't do maths. They can't memorize, okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. They can't do that.
Okay, so thank you. Another question. So, if RAG is more for private, will the knowledge gained through this outside additional knowledge? Does this knowledge updates overall LM training?
No, no. So I mean, it should never. If someone is doing from the, I mean, if some any GPTs are doing it, that would be outrightly incorrect because we are training in our company private data, right? So it should not happen unless you're not specifically asked to train the model, the general purpose knowledge. But why would you want to do that? I mean, if suppose I am in a company, I don't want my personal data, I mean my company's data to go to public to everyone. I don't want my sales performance to go to everyone, how much we are doing, are we doing. There is a fixed format for that, right? We publish our yearly annual numbers, right? Those things are there, but your models can't get trained on the your private database. That's the enterprise version. That's why there's a difference between enterprise. So like the free model which you use, right? You are the training data set. Basically, you are training it for free. While you are thinking that it's helping you, you are also helping the model. But in an enterprise version where you're using RAG, that data doesn't go. I mean, element doesn't get trained outside your enterprise version. It's walled.
Yeah, okay. So, another question. There are two questions related to hallucination. One is, could you describe about hallucination? And another one is, could you tell how to deal with it?
I mean, okay, not very easy topic to handle because if you have were able to deal with I think I have not read the 3 days news which OpenAI has published, the newspaper which is OpenAI published, because they have got some way to uh, know why hallucination happen. Because the bigger question was, what is how does hallucination happen? No one was able to answer that. I think OpenAI now has that answer. I have not read the news, so I can't really comment. So I'll go by the knowledge which I had 1 week earlier. Now, what will happen? It can generate a factually incorrect statement. Hallucination is very simple word. What it is, it generates any answer which is correct but factually incorrect. Right? Suppose if I ask, who is the co-founder of Cash Karo? Now imagine if that information was not publicly available, but if the model answers the CEO of the co-founder of Cash Karo is Shantanu Prakash, right? Now it's a fabricated name. I'm not the co-founder. So what will happen? But it has answered. See, logically, it has answered everything. You asked for the co-founder, it has answered a co-founder. While it was a fabricated name, it doesn't exist, right? So since hallucination means ki while the answer looks correct, but it is factually not correct. That's what hallucination in simple word means. Now, why it happens, why hallucination happens? There are multiple ways. Because see, training data gaps, because model has never been trained on that data, because model has never come to know, no one has ever asked, no data points has ever been asked to them ki, who is the co-founder of Cash Karo, and that's why it didn't have the exact answer, so it started guessing. Because again, probability model, it started guessing in some way or other, right? Then the second concept, what we call it, why hallucination happens, the overgeneralization of things. Basically it mixes patterns from different contexts. So some similar context might have happened previously, and they said, okay, then it got confused and said, okay, because some unnecessary pattern has been organized. Let's say I have trained the GPT saying I am the co-founder of Cash Group, right? And imagine 10 people doing that same. Just we are playing with GPT. There is a higher possibility that it might get constrained because of that too. And obviously there is no fix because the LLMs doesn't verify against any external database. So it has no real-time source. So it has to answer something. And that's why to reduce hallucination, RAG is the best. All the tuning that we do, right? Optimization, the RAG ho gaya, fine tuning, prompt engineering, all this is a job to reduce the hallucination also, right? So it imagine like what hallucination is. So like model is like a student, mm, uh, which is extremely like you might have seen people who are very well spoken, right? They speak really well, right? If you don't know the facts, you'll believe what they're saying. So the same is with the model. The model is grammatically correct. They provide full context, but the facts are wrong. So that's what hallucination is. What you can do is build better prompt, right? Ask, give the full context what you are asking, and also have some understanding whether it is hallucination, whether it is hallucinating or not. So always ask for source. So I'll give you an example. Like now, ChatGPT has improved a lot. You can use Perplexity if you're not used, try using it, because it also gives you sources from which source the data has been provided. So there will lesser chance of giving the wrong data there, because it has scraped some source, it has given the source. You can always go and verify whether the source is correct or not, whether it's a valid source or not. So that's how things happen. But yeah, I mean, in general, that is the only way to just provide better context to model, and it will hallucinate least. Yeah.
Shantanu, actually, we have one session feedback form.
Hmm.
I just need 1 minute and want to request our audience to fill it. If you have any suggestion, anything, you can write that down here. It would be very helpful, guys. Please do fill it out. It won't take more than 20 seconds. Till then, if you guys have other question, you can also put it in a Q&A. Can we take one more question, Shantanu?
Sure.
Okay. So another question is, how are pre-trained models different from LLMs and how are GPTs related to pre-trained models?
LLMs is the subset of GPTs only. It's not different. When pre-trained, so LLMs come from GPT.
Okay. How is RAG different from MCP?
Completely different. RAG is a optimization technique for LLMs. How to optimize to give a better answer. MCP is a server protocol, model context protocol, right? So suppose if it's used in the context of AI agents. So uh, I don't know the question, the person who has asked the question, how we understand the software part. But imagine we have APIs, right? Uh, so like each, if I'm let's say if I'm Cash Karo and I'm a retailer, let's say Amazon is listed to me, right? Now a customer goes from Cash Karo to Amazon. How would Amazon transfer the data? So Amazon, there are certain APIs which we call it, has been built, but each company has their own context of building APIs. They have their own set of different APIs. They have their own parameters. So the same problem was we were able to see in the models also. So MCP, that's where I think Anthropic launched this, and if I'm not wrong, Anthropic did last year. They built a protocol like how the data between various models can be interchanged. So that's a different thing. It's a kind of API, if in plain simple vanilla language, if I want to explain, this is the context on which each data sharing will happen. That is specifically used in AI agents. So MCP, if you remember, if you follow Twitter, I think Satya Nadella used, nahi, Satya Nadella, nahi, sorry, I forget, who is the other Indian, the Microsoft CEO. Satya is right. Yeah, Satya is the Microsoft CEO. No? So he mentioned two MCP or not two MCP, right? Because to follow at MCP architecture or not. So now all the architecture, model architecture, so that they can talk to each other. Because now you can't be dependent on one model. It's very clear. You have to work with different use cases will have different models. So they need to talk to each other. So how the data transfer will happen, how the context transfer will happen. So that's what MCP is all about. So it's not at all related to the RAG. RAG is about optimization of that particular model.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. I think now we can continue.
Got it. Give me a second. Yeah. So you guys are still able to see my screen?
Yeah, it is visible.
Sure. Uh, Real world business application, I given lots of information already. So it can be used in customer service, e-commerce personalization, banking, finance, sales and reporting, everything. You are using GPT day in and day out. I'm sure if you're not using it, please start using it. Really helps. It increases the productivity. I know there are multiple use cases say, okay, it will make you dumb, but it is not the case. It will just increase your productivity. You have to use in the right sense, right? Now, this is very important to understand. Uh, there are, I mean, the tech stack requires are not very easy if you want to fine tune any model. So for learning and prototyping, which I'll show right now after this, I'll start with the coding part. So you can use Colab, you can use Jupyter Notebook, and so that you can have step-by-step demos. But obviously, it cannot be productionized. I mean, you can test it, you can learn it. Else, you have to go to some other server. So, like suppose if you want smaller use cases, then you can go to Hugging Face. Like if you are a data science owner, please go on visit Hugging Face, build your account. It has almost every model. It's an open source model and it's brilliant for us to use. Right. Then you have to use local LLMs, Streamlit apps if you want to make a basic app. So this would be for the people who want to like become a freelancer, or let's say smaller company for a smaller use case, they can use this. For enterprise level production, obviously you need huge servers, you need GPUs, you need vector DBs, you need orchestration kind of tool, right? How to happen. Latency becomes a problem. Imagine you go on Amazon, you are searching something, or let's say you imagine you are going on Google and searching something, and it takes 5 minutes to load, right? That's what latency is all about. You'll go away from that tool, right? So that's why. So for them, there's a complete different architecture that is required, and it's costly. Not everyone can afford it, and obviously it has to be proper use case at times. It requires time. So this is the typical high level architecture which I can think of, which is required. Uh, so again, same for freshness. If the data freshness is the most important thing, then use RAG. If you want a domain like a chatbot kind of thing, where obviously you don't share any sensitive data, then fine tuning is the perfect. For quick wins, it's simple. I mean, if suppose prompt engineering, you create a GPT, a basic GPT, right? And you can share with anyone. You go to chat GPT, create a chat GPT and a GPT and share with your family and friends, and they can use it because you have prompted it really well. So that is what prompt engineering is all about, right? Now I'll unshare my screen and share the Collab notebook. Before that, what I'm trying to explain, I'll explain you what all things are also required. Give me a second. Stop share. Is my Collab notebook visible? Which is
Yes.
chatbot fine tuning IP vending. Okay, perfect. So if we want to work parallelly, I mean, if you want to understand, Google Colab is perfect for any kind of smaller fine tuning that we need to do. All you need to it's a need to do make account on Google Colab. It's free of cost. You don't have to spend in a single penny. What I'm trying to tell you here, whatever code I'm using, it's free of use. The servers that we get is free, and that's why there's lots of limitation. I mean, I can't run. Well, else a fine tuning can run within. I mean, it requires hours and hours of running. So you can use Colab, it's best. And if not, then you can also use a Jupyter notebook. You can have servers, basic GPUs, because your laptop also will have some, I mean, those basic, they are free. Though you can use it for a normal use case. Now, if you are this complete code is made on Python. So if you don't know Python, that is okay. But in data science world, Python is always the most dynamic use case. So at least for me, I 90% of my use case revolves on coding languages Python only, because it has all the libraries, whether it is a data science library, whether it's a general production library, or whether it is a basic application. Obviously, if you want a full enterprise level app, then you don't use Python. You uh, go to JS and everything, right? That's the React based database. That's a different kind of thing. But yeah, for any learning, Python is best. So if you know Python, you can fine tune any model. Okay, so I'll start with what are the steps for this thing. Give me a second. Hmm. So there are multiple steps, and each step what I'll do is I also open my assistant so that if I can write the question so that you can see the answer, because sometimes it's better you're able to. So this is, if you don't know, this is a comment browser for Perplexity. It provides better context. So whatever I'm typing here, and I can ask it, it will only answer related to the question which I'm typing here. So the first step is to install all the libraries. right? For libraries, what libraries are needed? So you'll install transformer library. So I have mentioned here code, which is the core Hugging Face library, because you have to have the models will get exported from Hugging Face. Hello, sorry. Yeah, but screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
The you are seeing you are only seeing that the collab that sorry the collab one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are what I have done is there are 5 steps in which the complete coding gets divided. The first step is obviously you have to install all the library. Okay. The second is, if I'll just give an output, what happens? You have to give some context data. You have to give data set, because I mean you can give a Excel, you can PDF, you can whatever you want to give. I have just given in a form of this one, a JSON, so that it can get trained. Data set for training. Then a transformation happens, like step 3. We'll load the model from Hugging Face, and the setup will happen. LoRA, I remember I told you about fine tuning steps of LoRA. So that will happen. The fourth step is fine tuning. This is the step where the fine tuning will happen. And then step 5 is the prompt, just inference. If suppose someone asks the question, what is the inference, will derive out of that. So so if suppose you are using Colab code, what you have to, first of all, what you have to do is go on runtime, open a notebook, runtime, change the runtime type. This is very critical, right? And make it a T4 GPU, because we need GPUs for it. For any model to run, for LLMs to run, we need GPUs. So select this. This is the free version. It's not a paid version also. So select T4 GPU, save it, right? Now the first step is install all the libraries that is mentioned. This is required for fine tuning. This is required for the model to be loaded. Python has extremely vast library, extremely useful. You'll have all the libraries. If you don't know, you can ask ChatGPT. You can ask anything. It will give you what set of libraries are needed. It will help to install the library here. Now, as a second step, what you need to do, what I'll do is I'll for every step I'll pause for 1 minute, because I don't know whether how comfortable people are with coding, so that they can ask questions. But this is a simple library load. Do you have Preeti any question pertaining to this?
Yes, sir. One question. Alaska bought Google Home. Are these work only? Are these work with only AI or any other technology?
So again, when we confuse the word AI, like AI is the superset of everything. AI के अंदर सब आता है, NLP, deep learning, LLMs, GPT. Those are a smaller subset of AI, right? Amazon and Google, when they use, I mean, AI is there for almost 30 years now. It's not nothing new. I mean, is the just the way that now we are adapting to LLMs, that is there. So yes, in overall structure, it's a kind of AI only, both Google Homes and, because it understands voice, it records voice, right? I'm just forgetting Amazon's. There's this the way voice, it records voice and it responds to you. They have built a services out of that also. In fact, many of the calling services uses that. Now it can be refined further, but yes, it's been used long. So anything related to code, please feel free to ask. For every step, there are only 5 steps. I'll wait for every step for 5 minutes, so that if people have questions, they can ask. Else I'll move forward. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
the first
Actually,
step is very, yeah. Sorry.
sorry. There's a one question. Where can I get this code?
That Preeti, you have to answer. I can share the code with you, and then possibly we can share with attendees.
Yes, yes, definitely. I will share it. You guys can reach out to us on LinkedIn. We'll share this.
Sure. Uh, Also, why I have open Comet Assistant is, what I'll do is I'll ask it to write what each step is, so that you can also read the steps, what is being done. So step 2 is creating a data set. Basically, some kind of training data set needs to be there, right? Else, how the model will get trained. So I'll ask what are we doing in step 2, which is the of current page. So why I'm asking this thing, so that it can explain you line by line what what are we trying to do. So see, the first step we're saying is we are creating a data folder to organize the inputs. Then we are defining example data in this particular format. So instruction user, what is the user prompt? What is the input? Remember, I told you like you have to give response and query of chats to the to LLMs so that it can be fine tuned. Same thing I'm doing. I'm just doing with a very smaller data set, 3-4 lines, so that it can understand. So it's in JSON format structure. Ensure that data is compatible with Hugging Face, because all those see these tweaking we need to do. What kind of model we are taking, from where we are taking that model. See, I'm not going to build an LLM, right? I don't have money and bandwidth to build an LLM, as simple as that. So obviously I'll take someone else's model and fine tune it. So that's what it is doing. It's that means your code needs to adjust for that. So yeah, so this is how it is happening. So just for, I don't think this is, I mean, there might be much questions here, but the only objective of this particular code snippet is to prepare a training data set, right? Now, the third is we have to load the model. Now, explain the third step. I hope my screen is visible, even that the assistant part, because I want people to see that and so that they can understand it better rather than just understanding the code.
Yes, sir. Both are the
Perfect. Perfect. Now, what we are doing is load the base language model, because I'm using 5.2. In fact, I started with Gemma, which is Google one. I also started with Mistral, but somehow in my GPUs, my laptop GPUs were not able to handle it while doing the inferences. So after, I mean, 5-6 iteration, I chosen 5.2 because it's a small based model. It's for my demo, it is perfect. I have taken Hugging Face because it's free, it's not paid. So it was easier for me to show a demo on this. So what I'm doing is my base model is this. Where I want to show, that's it. So I'm just loading the model, and then I'm applying the LoRA technique, which adaptation technique, which I say. Now imagine if I run this output, if I am running and trainable. So what it is, check trainable parameters. If you're seeing this step, now this particular model has been trained on 2.27 billion, right? 27 billion 83 lakh, yeah, almost close to 27 crore rows. Imagine, out of that rows, if I started training everything, it would have taken days. It would have taken GPUs and GPUs for me, which I would not be able to do it. So what LoRa is doing, it is only training a 0.14% of my data. So only 39 lakh parameters have been trained out of this 27 crore, right? Yeah, I can't even 27 billion is out of 27 billion, 2. Sorry, out of 2.7 billion, only 39 lakhs parameters have been trained. That's what I think, Laura. That's how optimization technique, which would have taken me days and months of training, retraining my fine-tuned model. It has taken only me, I think, 4 or 5 seconds, 4 minutes it took me to train this. It has only taken one particular layer, which it felt is right for my project, because I provided a data set and it has retained it. Now I'll fine tune using the same parameters. So which all parameters need to be fine tuned. Now I'll pause. Any question on this so that I can answer it.
Yes, sir. One question: why did you put uninstall? Also, are all the keywords available in Python, like transformers, etc.?
I didn't get that. What was the first
Uh,
part?
okay. Why did you put uninstall? Also,
Okay.
are all the keywords available in Python,
Okay.
like transformers, etc.?
No, uninstall. See what happens. So when I was using, no, this is, you will not possibly require install, but why I have to do it, because in my Google Colab, bits and bytes was installed already. With 5.2 and the kind of inference model I'm running at the down codes and the next one, bits and bytes were not what. See, by default, my model was searching for bits and bytes, and for this currently, the current code is not able to, was not able to, the GPUs were not able to handle that, and that's why I have to forcefully uninstall it from this particular session. So it's just installing from my side because I had already installed for a different model. That's what I'm doing. You don't have to do it. I mean, it's just for my code because I have multiple collab notebooks, so that it doesn't get it don't use and just throw errors at the bottom. I have used this. And yeah, so these all are by default I mean, it's nothing. It's installing transfer Python libraries only. These all are let me ask, what is transformer library, right? You'll get it in Python. So why I am doing this, so that you see the answers. What I'm telling you is correct. So everything, because if suppose it was not a keyword, which is not an official library of Python, then it would have given me an error, right? See, it's developed by Hugging Face because I am importing a model from Hugging Face. That's why. Okay. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Actually, there are some people asking for the link of the collab, notebook. So, is it possible to share it?
I'll share, but actually, this collab notebook also has my some personal data. I need to remove it and I'll share after the session. I hope that works.
Yeah, sure.
Any other question till step three? I think we have discussed till now.
No, sir.
Perfect. Then requires the step four, which is the fine tuning. Right? Now, what's happening in step four? I have already written here, but I just want. So I'm trying to work on this, right? Fine. Now this is the last step where the fine tuning happen. Why supervised fine tuning trainer? Because I'm using a Hugging Face TRL library. Why I'm using? Because if I use any complex fine tuning trainer, it will take a lot of time, and possibly my collab notebook will also collapse. So after lots of iteration, this was the most optimized fine tuning model trainer, which I was able to find and able to use it. So I generally in my production I don't work with Collab Notebook because we have our own cloud servers, so we experiment there. But for this session, I can't show you my servers. I can't work there, so I have to build a Collab Notebook here, and that's why I have to use the very basic version of the model. Again, I'm pausing here. If you can see the code, right? If you have any question in this code, why I'm using this, why I'm not using, please feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them.
So, no question related to this.
Got it. Then last is the inference one. If you do inference, I mean, what I have done, I have made a simple using Grader. I've made an app also. We just need to, I'll just run it again so that we are able to see it's running. I hope so. I made a demo app so that if I want to answer the question, just give me some time. Sometimes it takes time. So what I did, I mean, as a production grade node, so again, it is only for your learning. The connection is not advanced. Oh, so my servers, my IT has blocked this server. I was testing in the morning. So simply it's doing nothing. So it's a problem. It's my VPN which is blocked. So what it is doing simple. If I'll ask any question, it was preparing an app. It prepared an app, and let me try this on incognito. And my website has been blocked. And it happens when you use company's laptop for training. So that's a learning. Should not use it. Give me a second. I'm trying the incognito mode. Suppose that works. Hello, that. Sorry, guys. I think so. My IT is very proactive and they have blocked an external server access. But the simple question, this is the last step, just to show you if you ask any question, what answer you'll get out of that. So basically, I have fine-tuned in the step 4. It is just showing you how it works. Whether I'm asking, it was simple app, it just says, okay, if I'm asking this question, this is the input I'm expecting, and it was giving me that input. So this completes the session. Theoretical coding. I know I could have done a lot on the coding piece, and I trust me, I tried. But with the limited Google Colab, and I was also not sure what is the background of people joining, like how hard, how much coding I can introduce, how much complex I can make it, because you require a lots of coding understanding from both the server side and also understanding of the data science models to work on this. So if you want, I'll share this code with you. On your personal network, it should work perfectly fine. It's my company security. I think that's why it's not working properly. But yeah, so this model, what I did, I took a standard 5.2 model from Hugging Face. I trained it on my data. I fine-tuned on my data. And so that if someone asks questions related to my perfect, I mean, related to cash crow or on crow, the answer would be limited to that particular thing. So imagine a customer asking about cash crow. It will give you the answer which I want in the particular tone which I want the chatbot to give the answer. So that's what this model is working on. And that's how this complete architecture has been built. I'll pause. The floor is open for each and every question. I'll be happy to answer them.
Yes, so actually we have so many questions. Okay, Sakit is asking, fine tuning means supervised learning.
Yes, that's correct. It's a supervisor because see, I'm giving a label data, right? For that particular, I'm giving query, I'm giving the response. So it's a label data, how to respond to that. So it's a supervised learning. You're perfectly correct.
Okay, sir, thank you. Another question Anurag is asking, I am using ChatGPT Premium and working on different projects. Sometimes it makes my data slash query from one project to another. Why such thing occurs and how to avoid it?
You're using which I'm assuming then you are not using the GPTs. You are using in the same context. You might be using a different thing. So see what happens now. It trains on your data, right? The model. Suppose if you asked some question some time back, it can store it in its memory also. So better is whenever you are working two different projects, make different GPTs and always specify in the prompt itself, because it can be will be done via prompt engineering. Specify that you don't want this model learning, this GPT is learning to be embedded in any other learning. That's how you'll be able to prevent it. Because what happens while see, because if I given context, like suppose in any project, that Shantanu is heading this project ABC, and then in some other project, Shantanu is hitting this project DF. And if I ask Shantanu is hitting bottom projects, there's a higher probability that it will give me both ABC and DF, because it's remembered from my previous training also, context also, because I've given that input, because it trains from our data. Again, that is the difference, right? And so it's better to have a GPT, different GPT, and giving them a proper prompt while creating those GPTs, saying that whatever information I'm sharing for this has to be only used by this GPT and nothing. It cannot be used for any place else in any context. That will reduce what you are talking about, the issue that you are talking about.
Thank you, sir. If you want, sir, you can also like stop sharing the screen also.
Okay, sorry. I need to pause, right? No, stop sharing.
Yeah.
Is it fine?
Yes, yes. Let's move to another question. So another question is, can you explain difference of LLM and deep learning or data mining techniques?
Hmm, good question. So basically, you're asking. See, LLMs are part of deep learning. What was the other piece? Sorry. So
Yes,
deep learning versus
data mining
LLMs
technique.
versus what was the third?
LLM and deep learning or data mining techniques?
Data, I mean, data mining is a different thing, yeah, altogether. LLMs are the subset of deep learning. So this complete GPTs and everything, these are part of deep learning only because it learns, right? What is it's a pattern recognition with supervised and supervised learning, everything. Supervised learn because there are no labeled data, there's no structured data. It learns it takes everything in the context and then it keeps on learning and build patterns between that. So sort of unsupervised also, right? Uh, Data mining technique is, I mean, it's completely, what do I say? It's not related to this. Uh, uh, Data mined by the word, if I'll say, how to explain, I'm just trying to give an example, right? How to explain the example, what would be the perfect thing? I mean, it's basically just it's a higher level context, basic patterns. It's the top level. I mean, generic word used in the data field. Data mining. At the end of the day, you are just identifying patterns, right? Even what deep learning is doing, what LM, it is same thing. But data mining is a qualitative word for the same thing. I mean, deep learning is the way how you reach to that particular pattern identification possibly, and data is okay because at the end of the day, even a data analyst, if they suppose you read a data in numbers, you see a number and you try to identify patterns, that is also a data mining technique. Everything is data mining. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to identify certain patterns to build. Yeah, I mean, exploratory data analysis, I mean, whosoever said that, this is also something like that. Everything. If you scrape that data, right, that is also part of data mining, right? It's a basically process of, it's a process name of discovering patterns, trends, useful information from large data set. Any technique, whether it's a statistical, mathematical, computational techniques, right? Anything. So that's how it is.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Another question is, do cash karo hire freshers for data role, and what qualities do you look for?
Sorry.
Uh, do cash karo hires fresher for data roles, and what qualities do you look for?
So it completely depends. For cash crow hiring, I mean, for freshers, we generally start with internships. That's how it pans out, and in what kind of role. So we have all the three: data engineering, data analysis, and data science. Depending on the roles, the skill sets are completely defined because data engineering is completely on the side coding side, right? Because you have to understand Python, you have to understand warehousing, you have to understand Spark, those kinds of things. So that is majorly on the coding piece. For data analysis, it's more on, if you, even if you know SQL but you understand numbers, you are able to build insight out of the numbers because that is more related to business side on the strategy piece. By looking at the numbers, can you identify what is working, what is not working in the business? So that's what data analyst role is. And coding and technicalities, we only need SQL, right? And Excel is there. Python, basic Python will also help. But my data engineering is a hardcore coding. Data science is a mix of everything because you need to know maths, you need to know statistics, you need to understand business also, because if you don't understand business, you'll not be able to build any model which will be useful for us. So depending on what kind of role you are looking for, the description changes. So I think someone asked, sorry, I have also opened chat. It's only showing Vaibhav is asking. Yeah. So Vaibhav, what has done now? Because I have not trained for all the response. So have you seen there was a JSON response which I have given? So it has only trained on 3 data set. And what I have done is as a default so that the model doesn't overload, what I have given a default answer. If you don't know the answer, just type it. I am still learning. It's a generic statement. As I told you, it requires GPUs, the Colab notebook. So if I want to train it further, I have to give the proper context. I have to give almost 10,000 replies, what is expected of that. Then it will be able to fine tune it. And I was not able to fine tune it properly because of this reason, or the GPU. So it required time. So it's not easy to fine tune any data with the setups, with the free GPU. So you require, I don't want to use any paid models, else you'll not be able to replicate that because then it require, or at least you have to take premium version of Collapse also. And that's why I thought of using a free version, and all free version has certain limitations, specifically on the data side. I hope I was able to answer it. Well,
Uh, yes, sir. Can I read another question, sir?
yeah.
Okay. So Farhan is asking, can we tune a LLM model locally?
Yeah, I'm doing it locally only, na? See, it's my when you say locally, obviously, chap, this particular my notebook, right? My collab is open locally on my browser only. I have imported that from Transformers, from Hugging Face, and I'm working finding it locally only. So that's what you do it, and that's why the problem of computation arises, right? Because your laptop is not meant to train a model. That's why your cloud services are there.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, another question. Do you see generative AI becoming a basic skill like Excel or PowerPoint in the near future?
Definitely, I mean, see, I personally believe lots of things are going to change. Uh, Generative AI, in the sense, see, it's currently the use case of generative AI in the field of when we say generative AI, right? We mean the uses of generative AI, right? So in that case, you as a person, you have to be able, you have to understand, because now if you can't expect, it's same when remember I think there was a discussion earlier. People used to do calculation on their hands, right? Then came the calculator. Now the computer excels are there to calculate everything faster. So the way technology is moving, the generative is the next phase of every calculation. Now you don't have to remember anything. All you have to know is the proper context. The model remembers thing. So, but earlier, suppose we were expected 10 things, now we are expected 15 things. As more and more usage will of the AI or the LLMs will come, the expectation is now you have to do 100 things, because there are lots of repetitive tasks will be automated using the AI agents flow, the agentic AI flows that we talk about. So yes, it would be. I mean, uh, it either you ignore it, avoid it. It's going to be in your life 3 4 years down the line. It will be mandatory for everyone to use it. I mean, if you're not, then I mean, you might be left behind. Right? Again, I mean that's the best answer. But you, if you're not using it, you should use it, because then you will be at a certain disadvantage. So there is one saying which I have read somewhere. I don't know who said it, but AI can't beat a man, a person. Humans, AI can't beat a human, but a human with AI can beat another human, right? So that's saying, so that's what we have to always remember. So it might be, it's a guide, it's a friend for you. Use it in the best way possible to excel in your career or whatever field you are trying to.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Another question. How these models decide how much data to return for provide statement as prompt? I understand that it predict the next relevant next word. However, how the model how much data to return? Generally, we always get elaborated answer with full process or all point associated with prompt.
Hmm. So, I mean, interesting question, but that's what prompt is all about. So there are certain default parameters while training. You can always bring a prompt. So, like suppose you can give a prompt, say, okay, I just need five points, 5 paragraphs. I only need 10 words. I only need 20 words. I only need this. But I'm assuming your question is what is the default, right? How much default we are talking about. If suppose I don't provide anything, that completely depends on which model you're using, what kind of training, what kind of fine tuning that at their level, at the foundation level, the team has done, right? So, and also for each, see, imagine each word generation is a cost. Okay, every word that generates requires millions of rupees. I mean, someone is paying for that, right? Not millions, but thousands of rupees. Yeah, millions might be so much, but yeah. So each word generated has a cost associated to it. So it's not like that. I mean, by default, they would want least number of words, but then also mean that the model then will be less useful if suppose if everyone start doing it. So yeah. So there's no fixed answer. It completely depends on which model. But yeah, you can always find. You can via prompt. You can always find it. So basically, core answer is that they don't plan the whole answer in advance. They just go one by one. So they predict the next token, the word or the part of word, based on probability. This basically there might be certain condition. They'll only stop when that condition is met, right? So So there are special the person who trains the model, the foundation models, they use those top condition or the controls. So like training models में they this I think if I'm not wrong, it used to be EOS करके. While training people, the trainers, I mean the foundation model, they use EOS. So which says end of sequence tokens. So when it generates end of sequence, it stops. And also there, like if you have used any kind of APIs like a Gemini API or Open API, OpenAI ka API, they use the word tokens. So it can also be limited ki how many tokens can it generate? Can it generate 100 tokens? In API, it is very prominent, not in normal context that we use, but yes, so that can also be, or obviously a human defined. So I think these are conditions, controls on which the default length can be defined. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question. Due to hallucination, should we only be asking question the answer for which we already know?
Sorry.
Due to hallucination, should we only be asked question the answer for which we already know?
No, that should not be read in that way. I mean, don't take see everything. Everyone has its pitfalls, right? It's a new technology. We have to also understand that it's still learning. It's still evolving. It will. I mean, hallucination will get reduced. It depends on the use case. I suppose a surgeon, right? Uh, what is the accuracy level required in your output? That's extremely critical. Suppose if I am a surgeon, even if I get wrong by 0.001%, it might cost a life. There, the accuracy hallucination cannot be tolerated. But if suppose you are a customer service agent, that's okay. I mean, I'm okay with 1%, 2% hallucination. That's completely all right. We'll say sorry and move forward. So it completely depends on your use case, where the hallucination is accepted. What is the limit of acceptance? Imagine even in cars, right? There are Six Sigma ratings and everything, quality score. Nobody has 100% score. 99.9% is also acceptable. 99% is also acceptable. So no technology is perfect. It will be imperfect in their own way. So it will take time. But it's if you will only ask what you know, then you're not learning anything. But yes, always good to use two, three different models. Just if you're slightly confused, it will help.
Yes, thank you. So another question is how self-attention mechanism work in transformer?
Okay. So, I mean, it's a very, very wide question. Because what happens, self-attention based, like I tried to explain earlier also, it's how our brain functions. It tries to identify which is the most important sentence in a what is the most important word in a sentence. It gives additional weight to that and only focuses on it. It's the same way that how business function, right? So I'll say, uh, so if I say Shantanu is uh, class monitor, then I say Shantanu is the class monitor. See, the model will not focus on the word he. Possibly it will focus on Shantanu, it will focus on monitor, right? And it will provide additional weight to that. So which means it doesn't have to classify each and every word. It only focuses again for why they're training. They are trained enough to understand which is the most important word, and they give weightage in that context. And that's how anything. I mean, the attention mechanism works, and that's how they can process so fast.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So another question is, if wanted to build a domain-specific LLM, RAG is better or fine tuning is better?
Domain specific fine tuning is better. Again, it depends what are you trying to achieve, how much dynamic information you need. See, if you need a dynamic information, then obviously you need a RAG. If you don't need dynamic information, like every minute the information doesn't change, then the perfect fine tuning is perfect.
Yes, so we are done with the question.
Perfect.
So before ending this, any piece of advice you would like to give our audience who are watching us now or who will watch us the recording?
Yeah, sure. I mean, see, AI is a field which is, I mean, it has changed how things were 2 years back. Everything. I mean, it is going to impact every profession. There will be very less profession which will not be impacted directly impacted with in one or other ways. It will be impacted. It has not impacted till now, but it will do. right? The agents, the automations, like people learning AIs are there. And please don't, I mean, make sure, I'm not saying to learn data science, okay? That is out of question. If you are not from a data science field, don't learn it. Just focus on how to make this AI your best friend or your guide or your mentor, how it can help you. Like now you don't have to learn everything. Like you don't have to go to plethora of pages of Google or something searching what it means. All you have to type something, you'll get the perfect curated info for your questions, right? So that's the best part. So consider AI as your friend, which can help you in, I don't know, getting jobs, switching careers, making sure of 5 years, what would next 5 years look like. If you are interested in technical piece, please learn AI. But before AI, you have to learn basic data science. Don't directly jump on data science. I mean, to deep learning. You have to first know, you have to understand statistics. You need to understand traditional machine learning. Then you have to understand deep learning, and then only you can come to generative part of this. All right, so don't go by the bandwagon. Okay, I can directly learn it. No, it will not happen, because the minute people start asking questions, not be able to answer it. So so do that. If you are related, for if you want data science specific, then please start learning. Maths is the course. If I'm talking to people who are like suppose data science enthusiasts and want to work in this field, please make sure that you are mathematically very solid. It's statistics, maths are the core of anything. Even whether you want to become a traditional ML or you go to an ML deployment, or you want to become an AI journalist, it completely depends. So it is going to change. Next 3 4 years are very interesting. It will change how we look the world, how we look at the job, how many new profiles will come up in the field of AI. So if you are technical person mindset, I mean, this is the best time to learn fast. And if you're a business person, please make sure that you adopt AI in your daily use cases.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shantanu, for the session. Thank you so much for delivering such a clear and engaging session. We truly appreciate your time and which you have shared the knowledge with us. And big thankful to everyone who have joined us today. We hope you found the session useful and informative. And if you like to revisit the session or share it with others, the recordings are also available on our LinkedIn page. And if you have any question, you can reach out to us, or you can directly reach out to Shantanu. He's active on LinkedIn. So until then, take care, stay curious, and keep learning. See you all next time. And once again, thank you very much, Shantanu.
Thank you, Preeti. It was a pleasure speaking with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.